Now 4:30. So the Bel Air Board of Town Commissioners Budget Work Session meeting for April the 30th at 4:30 p.m. is now in order.
The sound system is not on.
Oh my gosh, Mike, no wonder, I'm like wondering why I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
All right.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Okay, here we go. April 30th, 2026, it is now 4:30 p.m., and the Bel Air Board of Town Commissioners Budget Work Session is now in order. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Foss?
Present.
Commissioner Chismar?
Here.
Commissioner Taylor?
Here.
And Commissioner Hanley?
Here.
All right, everybody's here. So first, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion or changes to the agenda? No? All right, in that case, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. And now we move on to the fiscal year 2027 budget discussion.
No, thank you.
First presentation is by the Bel Air Volunteer Fire Company.
Their letter is on page 123.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, if you want to come on up, you're more than welcome.
You get the podium, and tonight you are not limited to 3 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you again for having us. First, we want to thank you and apologize. Our president, Joe Rutherford, who was here with me last year, was unable to make it due to medical reasons. But I'm here along with the chief. Again, I'm Todd McKinney. I'm the vice president of the company, and Chief Scott Panowitz is also with me in attendance. We were hoping to bring our brand-new ladder truck and park it out front. We talked about it a lot last year, and we were discussing that beautiful piece of equipment was $2.4 million. It is in service, it is up street, ready to roll, and it's been on, I can't tell you how many calls since we got it in service. Again, just to remind you, that replaced a truck that was 20 years old. The 20-year-old truck, which we tried to sell in the market, did not sell, partly because of its age and because of its limited abilities. We donated that to a Sioux tribe in the middle of North Dakota. They have a response area of 600 square miles, and they had 2 brush trucks and 1 fire truck. They've never even owned a ladder truck. So they were ecstatic and extremely pleased and very thankful. Some of the other community fire companies donated equipment. We loaded it up and drove it out there. And then 2 chiefs followed and did training with it. So it was a very nice win-win for the company and, of course, for the Sioux tribe. But again, that's one of the reasons why 2 years ago we wrote that letter asking for the incremental increase in budget over the several couple years that we laid out in that letter. And basically, we repeated that letter to Ms. Moody this year, but just by showing how we would like to do that incremental increase. We appreciated the generosity from last year with that increase of just a little over $30K. But again, that was an increment of $300K over 3 years on top of what you originally gave from the 164 in 2024. So hopefully that math is making sense. So we're hoping to still do that and get to that incremental increase. We understand that there's been a lot going on with the town, purchasing other new emergency vehicles with Chief Moore. And then, of course, I know Public Works has also increased their trucks and their new leaf collection trucks as well as the pickups. So I know you're fully aware of the cost of those vehicles. The most expensive, I think, was $190K, and that was that leaf truck. Now, again, I just mentioned that our truck was $2.4 million.
At least it wasn't $2.4 million. but
Exactly.
It was a number that caught our attention.
As I mentioned that, we just ordered 2 new fire trucks. Because of COVID, there is actually a 4-year delay on the build of equipment like that. So we had to put the order in. We are getting ready to refurb a 2007 engine. And when you refurb it, you basically replace the chassis, do a little work to the body, and put the body on a new chassis. Again, that's to save money and to show you where the company is. Just like you guys have that calendar of when to replace vehicles, we do as well. Our typical calendar is 7 years for a fire truck. We have not been able to meet that due to budget restraints. So I'm sharing all of this with you to show you the dire need for that incremental increase that we've requested 2 years ago. One thing we noticed in the budget, and I was just talking to Chief Moore about that, is that the town bills for false alarms. We suggest do the same on our side. The number of false alarms that we go to is unbelievable. We've tried to work with the county on this, and the county's been very slow to react. Sometimes they do, and usually it's that 3-strike rule. You know, if we go to the same alarm 3 times, then they get that bill, and I think it's $100. Please?
Yeah, it's on your third offense is $100. So we actually went to the county and asked them to increase that to $500, you know, or more, just because people just pay it. You know, it's not a deterrent, right? So it's our plea to the county was, you know, we need something significant just to stop these. I mean, there's been times we've run the same building 5-6 times within like a 2 or 3 hour period, and it just gets. I mean, it limits our resources. You know, our members don't want to come in, you know, because they know it's going to be a faulty alarm, you know, just because of the reoccurrence of the same address.
And are those faulty? Is that what is,
Is-
why are you getting false alarms repeatedly from the same
So,
building?
sometimes a lot of times, like, they'll have their smoke detectors installed in the wrong place.
Okay.
Again, a lot of times it comes where they're too close to the kitchen,
Okay.
and just whatever the occupant is cooking, you know, they're not a good cook, right? So they're burning something, and the smoke detectors go off. Sometimes it's just a faulty panel, just due to age, and they don't have any incentive to replace it, so.
So you were saying about a resident with a smoke alarm that goes off, but that's not wired directly into,
Oh, we're talking commercial.
you're talking commercial. So
Commercial.
Commercial would be generate an automatic alarm up at, okay.
Correct. There are some,
Gotcha.
1 and 2 story dwellings that do have a fire alarm system that do report to a central station and call out. But the majority of what we run is commercial structures.
And how often would you say that occurs? On a weekly basis?
Sometimes hourly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to put into perspective, again, the fire company averages 15 calls a day.
Right.
Not 15 false alarms, but 15 calls of service. So,
And only the county can dictate the fine?
Right now, that's the only
That's I
only
mean,
law that's written,
That's
correct?
the only law that's written.
Correct.
Okay. You couldn't do that yourselves. We don't have a limit. We're only part of a very small area,
Right.
of your area.
Yeah,
so we
we
can't
would,
do it.
Right.
right. No, we don't have the ability to
Right.
do that, so.
Okay.
but just as a suggestion, again, if it's working with Chief Moore and his department, maybe it's something to look at, because it's possibly revenue that's not being collected that could help with our budget through the town, if that makes sense.
I'm not sure if local legislation, we have local legislation, right, for alarms, right? No, for the town of Bel Air. I'm wondering if that could apply for them, if it was an alarm that occurred in the town of Bel Air. I mean, we
Right.
could look at that.
Right, and that's, that's,
Yeah.
And we'll
Yeah,
definitely
okay.
take a look at that.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Right.
aware
Me-
that there were false
sure.
alarms that were not being picked up
good
because
example
of
of
the
that
town.
is McComas Funeral Home,
Mhm.
when they installed the
Crematorium.
incinerator. It wasn't installed properly. We were going there, I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
So. Chief, please, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing that I really wanted to bring up is just with the amount of construction that's going on in town, you know, and we're building bigger structures. So going back to what Ty was saying about the ladder trucks, is due to the size of those structures, we really need 2 ladder trucks. So now we're replacing 2 units at $2.4 million. And just so everyone's aware, what we call our in-town boxes, which are everything in the town of Bel Air, those are still our busiest boxes that we run compared to, you know, together compared to running out to Forest Hill, out 924, out to Churchville. We still run more in town than any of those other boxes. And with this construction, we really believe that going forward and for the next year or two, it's going to be the first time since the 1970s that the increase of calls in town is going at a faster rate than out of town. And so that's one thing, again, that we're looking at. We do have an incentive program. We have a live-in program that we started, I think we've talked about the last couple of years. We actually have members that live at the firehouse. They have to pull 144 hours of duty a month and they actually have an individual room at the firehouse. That's really helped us, because the other thing is, again, outside, with the building and construction that's coming, as everybody knows, you can't get to the firehouse very quickly if there's a call, right? We actually have an incentive program too, where it's duty-based. You have to be at the firehouse, again, it's to incentivize members to be there, because we have to be at the firehouse. Some of the other stations still have the ability to respond from home. We don't. We have to be in the firehouse. So again, those are things, especially with, as you have different programs that come up, like recruitment and retention, like if you could remember us and help us out with that. Again, with the incentive program, if there's things, again, just kind of, again, we're getting busier and busier as it's going on. Again, a lot of times I think that we should be associated more with what the police department's doing than any of the other organizations, because that's the most closest to what we're doing. The other thing too is, the city of Annapolis has a fire department. They run on the fire department side, they run pretty similar to what we do, and they get 22% of the Annapolis budget. So again, we're appreciative of everything that we get, but again, I think as all this construction's going on, we're just asking that you please remember, it has a dramatic effect on us. 'Cause again, we're staffing and monitoring and responding 24 hours a day.
What questions do you all have, please, of us?
What is the max reach on your new ladder truck?
100 foot.
Okay.
Now, when I say that, it's 100 foot when it's raised at an angle. Now, we're starting to get into the fact now where the buildings need it. Right now, where we need it is our townhouses and single-family dwellings, because people are parked out front. We need that 100-foot reach to actually get to the roof.
Mhm.
So again, in the past, that's where we've needed it. Now we're actually we do need that elevation to get to these taller structures.
So what I'm curious about, and I don't expect you to have this information
Okay.
today, but I would like to know how many calls you go to that are in-town resident addresses, commercial,
We had so last year we had 22,675 calls. 22% of those were in town. So that ends up being, I think, I printed this out bad. I think it's,
somewhere around 500, I'm guessing.
Twen-
Yeah, 22%.
yeah, 22% of that is in town.
Okay.
And it's kind of crazy too, because it's always been consistent. Like even as like Forest Hill grew in
Mhm.
population and stuff, those numbers have always been pretty consistent across the board. And again, like I said, even in town, like I said, forever has been the busiest, our
And
busiest boxes.
My other question is, I'm curious about how many false alarms are generated from town properties?
That I'd have to run.
Yeah, I'm curious, because I do think we should take a look at the false alarm statute. I'll remember that the county has one in their code, and it's a fine structure that they've, set
Right.
out in their legislation, and I'm not 100% sure we can do it with our town code, but we will take a look at it and see if we can.
Sure.
Because it is really a terrible burden on you. Plus, they're taking you away from somebody else who needs you to
Correct.
show up.
Absolutely, yeah.
When
Correct.
there's nothing really going on here, you're just, kind of wasting your time, and somebody else really needs a fire truck to show up, so.
Absolutely.
It's like the old story, crying wolf.
It is.
Right, you do
Right.
it too many times, and, like you said,
Right.
your
Right.
Guys
your
don't want to
members
come
are
in,
like
no
that.
wonder.
It's them again, don't worry about it, but it might be
Yep.
the real one,
Right.
so.
And our experience with that is it doesn't seem like they really care.
No.
Right.
We've gotten a hold of them, some of the higher level violators, and it's reduced sometimes, but then it'll just go right back up again. It's
Right.
just
Yeah.
hard to explain.
Yeah. I think they look at it as like the cost of doing
I
business.
think so. yeah.
And I think you're right, that $100 is not enough to get the attention. It would get my attention, but I would
Right.
probably not,
I think most corporations just pay it.
and I think you're right. I think it's
they're not,
just,
this is going back a bit, but the only time I ever remember anybody getting upset was we ran Kmart a couple times. And that day there happened to be, I don't know what position he was, if he was a vice president or something, and he just happened to be there. And we were like, hey, this is like the third time we've been here in 2 days. And he's like, what? He goes, I'll get it fixed today,
Yeah.
But prior to that, they were just pushing the funds up, and I guess, somebody's paying it because they're not getting up in the middle of the night.
Cost of doing business. And
Right.
you weren't getting it to the attention of the right people to say, hey,
Right.
this is really wrong for you to do this, fix your alarm problem, whatever it is.
Correct.
All right. Anybody else?
I've heard that there's a lot more training and certifications that are required for volunteers. How long does it take from the time somebody reaches out and said, I'm interested in being a volunteer, to being able to actually serve?
So there's two aspects to it. We have our in-house orientation. So that typically is about 24 to 30 hours. And then once a member goes through that, they can ride as what we call a yellow shield. So they can go on a fire truck, but they can't go inside. They can't actually fight the fire. Once a member joins, they have 2 years to get Firefighter 1 certification through BIFRI, and that runs about 150 hours. So, and then once they pass that, then they go through, we give them another in-house test, and then they become what we call a red shield, and then they have the ability to actually go be an interior, operate on the interior of a structure fire.
Has it been challenging finding people that are willing to go through that process?
Oh, yeah. Most people want to do that, and I don't mean to stereotype, but that quick TikTok video that they just helped planted flowers at the playground and they met their volunteer hours. They don't want to commit the time it needs that we need.
Yeah, we've actually changed our membership interviews. Like we actually put a pack on, run up and down the parking garage a couple times, to make sure that, hey, this is a physical thing, and really make sure we stress the amount of hours that it's going to be. Because that's the other thing too. We don't want to put our training staff, have them waste their time, and halfway through somebody,
Right.
this isn't for me. So like I said, we've really tried to be very upfront with new members, so they have a full understanding of what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
One thing you may not be aware of, we do still have an ambulance and still have volunteer EMS providers. Even though the county took over the EMS program for the county, we did keep one of the 3 ambulances for volunteers. So we have about 30 EMS providers as well. And their training is similar to what Scott just laid out.
Yeah, theirs is actually
But
longer.
it's actually longer to be a certified EMT, yeah. But that runs many a calls, and because the county is growing, the fire trucks go on a lot of medical calls too as a first responder, because you might have the ambulance coming out of Darlington here. So the engine will come here and they'll handle it until that ambulance gets there. That happens a lot as well.
Anyone else? Well, certainly, thanks for
Great.
being here and making your presentation, and thanks for all you do. Sorry about all the false alarms. We'll have to look into that. That's
Right.
terrible.
I'll look into
Appreciate
it,
your
Scott.
time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Take care.
All
Oh,
right.
by the way, the invitation is always open. If you ever want to come down, tour the station, we've talked about that last year as well. We'd love to host you. If you want to attend one of our company meetings, it's always the first Tuesday of every month. Just reach out and we'd be glad to host any of you.
And I know I was there for the big, no, the big,
Open house?
yep, the
Open
big
house.
open
Yep,
house.
yep.
Yeah, it was very well attended.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of fire equipment that, you could touch the trucks, and the display of pulling the car apart was very popular. It was pretty cool. It's sad how little there is to a car anymore, but,
For the first time last year with Chief Moore's assistant, we actually closed Conowingo Road, or Hickory Avenue.
right,
So that
right,
was nice. We plan to
Right.
do that again this year.
right.
'cause it
That
just
that
made
was
it,
great. Yeah, you had a lot of people there. It was like a really fun day for everybody, and to watch
Yeah.
everybody work was great.
And I know you'll see us win again the trophy. We won, right? We won last
That's
year,
it,
so.
that's it.
We're ready, we're
There's,
ready.
that's
Bragging
it.
rights.
It's coming up, it's coming up. You
Well,
guys,
I
you're
would
used
love
to.
a tour. I would love a tour. I'll have to.
Well, let us know. And if anybody wants to come for a ride along, we'll let you ride a fire truck for the night.
Are
Yeah,
you
we-
serious?
But no driving the fire truck.
You can't
They're
drive
No,
it.
we can't.
$2.4 million,
We gotta be
no
over
driving,
21
no
And
driving
on our
that.
insurance.
I would love that.
Yeah, no,
We're
please,
welcome to.
reach out. We're glad to
Anytime.
set it up.
Who do I just call the
Call
Call
Scott.
the business office.
business office?
Yeah, and
Okay.
talk to Judy, and they'd be glad to schedule it.
All right, great. Thank you
Thanks
so
a lot.
much, guys.
Take
Yep.
care.
All right. So I don't see anybody from the Boys and Girls Club here.
No, I was just emailing Derek.
But I do see somebody here from
Yep.
Lassos, so I
Yep,
say
we'll
we
take-
go ahead with,
Yeah, come on up,
who's here?
Melinda.
Come on up.
The letter for Lassos is on page 115.
I remember when she started. Oh, I have them on, turned on.
It's like school, we all have to turn to the right page in our books, Melinda. All right, I think we're all there, so the
You're good?
floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. As you know, I'm Melinda. I am the Executive Director of LASSOS. We've worked in partnership with the town of Bel Air for the last 16 years. It's so hard to believe it's been around that long. We currently are serving over 4,100 residents here local in the 21014, about 2,700 that are actually in our little small 3-mile wide area of the town of Bel Air. Last year for summer, we had hosted over 357 students for summer camp for the month of July. This year, we're looking to extend that. We have the opportunity with Harford County Public Schools to actually offer a program for the kids who have 9 credits that they have to pass in order to graduate. So they need 1 credit in the summertime so they can actually graduate on time. And so with the collaboration with Harford County Public Schools, we're able to offer that program. We're the only organization in the county that does something like that. And so we're hoping to get those extra 15 to 16 kids over the finish line that would be keeping them back, because there's only 1 class left, we tend to lose them. So we're really excited about that opportunity. As you know, our partnership with the town of Bel Air Police Department just continues to grow. We worked this year with the police department on a missing person that had been missing since 2015. As soon as it was turned over to the chief sent the detective to come see us. And I was like, oh yeah, we know where she is. Like, we can tell you exactly, here she is. And so, we were able to kind of work with them and close that case. And so it was a great way to show kind of the partnership that was there. She was thankful to be off of this milk carton registry and to be able to kind of, just show the community that we're all about how do we keep us all safe as we continue to live this ever-changing world that we live in. So we continue to offer literacy programs. We do a lot of work with the concept of families becoming fiscally secure. How can they become self-sustaining? What are those processes? So we're working a lot with the financial literacy piece as we're helping our community kind of mix and mingle and become who they are today. So do you have any questions for me?
I just remember we worked together at Bel Air Middle, and you said, I'm going to start a nonprofit, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, how do you do that?
2009.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you did it. And you do so much. It's crazy. Like, even, I can remember there was a family that needed dishes,
Mhm.
or they needed sheets, or they need, coats or something, and you take care of it. So it's unbelievable what you've done and what you've built, so.
Thanks.
So summer camp again this year?
Yes, ma'am. We're
How many
expecting almost
weeks?
400.
400 kids?
Yeah, I just did some hiring this afternoon so that we could make sure we had enough staff to student ratio, and talk to the bus drivers about how do we handle traffic, making sure we're doing what's best for kids. As you know, on Fridays, we're here in town. So when you're walking around and you see all these kids, like, that's what's happening. I think the coolest part about the work in the summer is the fact that they truly become a part of our community. And those who don't live in a town know what it's like to live in a town. And I just had this really cool call before I came, but please, I promise not to cry. But she called because the house that she's renting over off of Franklin just got put up for sale. And she was like, we don't want to move from our community. Like, can you find somebody to buy this house so we can stay? We don't want to leave the town of Bel Air. And that means we've done something right? She's raised her kids. She continues to raise her kids. She's welcomed, and we have created that type of community. And so for us, literally, I see her like elementary school kid running up Broadway to go to ShopRite, right? And I'm like, okay, she's in 5th grade. She's allowed to do that. But as a parent, that's nervous. And then I thought, we're in Bel Air. How awesome is that the kids feel that safe that they can run from Franklin up to Broadway to get what they need from ShopRite. So just, wonderful things happen. It takes all of us to create what we do, but we're thankful for everything that you do to support us.
Right,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
I passed around, oh.
Yeah. No, you are part of it. We're grateful for what you do for the community. It is a great program.
Over in there, and the summer camp stuff, you'll see it's a lot of our work that we do, and that's, but you'll see you guys and the sheriff, It's beautiful, but yeah, we don't want to be in there. Anyway, but you're welcome. Great, thanks. You have to just flip through it. It's so cool to see the kids and.
When does the summer camp take place?
July 6th through the 31st. If you're around, I'd love for you to come and meet the kids and see the work, and you'll just, I mean, truly, you're just gonna eat them up, so. We good, Ms. Paula?
Yes, ma'am, we
All
are.
right, thank you. You guys take
Thank
care.
you so
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mel. See you
Where's your
later.
camp, Melinda, where is it? It's just right in town, or?
Yeah, this year we had to get moved to Southampton. We're always in Bel Air, and so this year they moved us to Southampton because they want to clean the floors. I'm really mad about it.
That's, I know.
So we're just right over here, and so we've already figured out, like, how do we get our kids here, you know, how do
Yeah.
we walk up Broadway, and, you know, 'cause no matter what Fridays we're in town, we're at the Armory. It's just a little bit different, but yeah, so we're going out to Southampton this year, and then hopefully next year we'll be back there.
I'm sure Dr. Miller would love to have you. She's awesome, yeah.
I mean, we have a great relationship with them, but, you know, I had a hissy fit with the chief, so, you know, how do I still? You know, it's just great, like, you know, the deputies come and they're with our kids, and so that's what it's about, because when our kids have emergencies in the middle of the night, it's nice to know that, you know. Anyway. All right, bye.
Well, thank you so much.
Melinda, thank you.
See you in July.
Absolutely.
All right, since there's nobody here from the Boys and Girls Club yet, Lisa, I think the rest of the show is yours and the Chiefs. I don't know who's
Nice.
going first.
I don't have an email from him yet, so, we'll just, it's really the Chiefs show tonight.
All right.
There we go. All by myself. Is
All
that,
right,
is that a
Chief.
message? That,
That's
I'll try to cut it down. I'll cut the notes down here. So, greetings, commissioners, directors. I guess Mike's still a director. Well, maybe not. And citizens of Bel Air. I'm Chuck Moore. I'm the chief of the Bel Air Police Department. I'll be giving the review of the FY27 Police Department budget. And my objective is, as in the past, I'll highlight some of the items, anomalies of increases, expense increases, comparisons between this year and last year, you know, heavy expenses increases, and items of interest that I think that you should know about and the citizens should be aware of. But before we start, I want to extend my appreciation to the commissioners and the other directors. You all have striven to make this, it's my goal and your goal too, to make this still make this the safest place in Maryland. We were up there a few times in the past. We've gone back because of some challenges in the state of Maryland and other places, especially as it relates to retail theft, but I want us to get there again. And I think some of the things that you've done for the police department and the citizens, as far as the technology, the surveillance stuff, the safety surveillance stuff that we've done, the additions that you've helped with the staffing, including some moving around, trying to get maximize performance in some of the positions that we've had. You understand that, you know, there might be some changes needed here and there, and I really appreciate that you're willing to do that in these budget sessions. So with that, we'll go ahead and start. And page 137, and line item 0100, salaries of the non-sworn. And I have a lot of notes, and I know it's not the biggest line item, but this one has occupied my time trying to figure out how to make some changes in the record information coordinator's position, and I think we call it now the police support position. Mike, did we change the name? But at any rate, it's still the same position. So we have a part-time person in this position right now that is funded through the Police Accountability and Transparency Act, the PAC grant through the governor's office, and we typically get around 15,000 for that position, but again, it's part-time. And the responsibility is to basically audit body-worn camera footage of the officers. And that's something that I think it's unique to the Bel Air Police Department. You know, a lot of other agencies rely on supervisors and things to do that, but I like us to be consistent, and I like to make sure, not that it's not done in other police departments, but there is a person obligated for this responsibility, because the officers know that we're inspecting what we expect, and you know, there's some other quotes out there, trust but verify and all that kind of stuff, but they know that there's somebody in the background checking things out. And when we see good stuff, mostly it's good stuff 99% of the time. We say, hey, this is great work, and that's just planting the seed. And then the deficiencies we bring to their attention too. But we've come to a challenge here, because our full-time police support person left in February, and with little to no notice, and it left us in kind of a bad position, because the primary responsibilities associated with that position are immense, enormous, and it's critical. If things don't run right in that position, we've got some problems, including the NIBRS, and I think I've run this by you before, the National Incident-Based Reporting System, and that's the method of reporting crime to the state of Maryland and the FBI. They're responsible to make sure that that's run right. There can only be a 4% or less error rate in 6 months of data that's collected when it's audited by the state. We can't afford to have mistakes there. And if it doesn't go right, we have the potential of losing grant funding to the amount of around $260,000. So that's the way they kind of strong arm us to make sure that it's done. And we transitioned to that new system at the 2 years ago, and it was a very laborious act to do the transition. And then we find out again that they're going to do some more modifications to that system, and we're going to have to be recertified again. And it's not going to be an easy task. So she was responsible for that. She was also responsible for the Public Information Act and FOIA request that we get. And as an example, I did an analysis between 2024 and 2025. There were 601 requests in 2024 and 652 in 2025. And some of these are complicated requests. These people, I don't understand. I do know why they're doing it, but it's kind of disgusting to me. They're requesting some of the information on some very sensitive cases that I really wouldn't like to see out there, like, you know, homicides and things like that. But sometimes we're obligated to do it. But saying that meaning that you have to have a lot of expertise to be able to know what to cut loose, what you can, what you can't cut loose. If you cut something loose that you're not supposed to, we could get sued. If you don't do it within a certain time frame, you're going to get sued. All this kind of stuff, and that person has had a lot of expertise in that area. I could go on and on. There's a whole lot of other responsibilities that they're responsible for, but at any rate, we had some challenges to try to get somebody up to speed in very fast pace. And some of the blame for that, for the lack of concession planning and succession planning, could come back to me, but. You know, we're a small agency. We only have a certain amount of people, and she was supposed to tell me when she was going to leave, and it didn't happen. Gave me 2 days' notice. So I want to extend some thanks and appreciation to the Aberdeen Police Department, who did. We help each other out a lot. The chief over there and his administrative staff, they're very knowledgeable, and they have the expertise. They came down and basically put their finger in the hole in the dike for us for a little while, and actually helped us train up a person to get them going. So, but what I would like to do, going around all the way around the barn here, is I would like to have this position absorbed into another part-time position, and we have another part-time position of a finance record clerk that retired recently. So maybe consolidate those and have another part-time position to help the full-time out, so we don't have this issue in the future. So. It's long-winded, I know, but it's pretty important to me. But you know, there's a lot of liability threats that we have to be aware of in this spot here. So
I'm just sort of confused on the number of people. I certainly support having a full-time person who's doing those FOIA requests or MPIA requests because they can be complicated. And
Yes.
if you give out information on an ongoing investigation, you could
things like that.
compromise it.
Mhm.
And I know information falls into 3 categories: things you have to give out, things you cannot give out, and then things that are in that gray area. So it really does take a lot of time on many of those to go through everything when somebody gives you a request, and
Yes, ma'am.
654 requests is a lot. I'm
Yes.
sure some of them are just, I need the accident report from, March the
they are.
30th or
Mhm.
something, and those are pretty simple, but the rest of them can be rather time-consuming. So I'm 100% on board with that. So we're taking, just tell me how many people we currently have, part-time and full-time,
So we have 2 part-times, and I'm not sure if the first one here, the first bullet, you see that's funded by GoCap.
Right.
And sometime, we don't know if we're going to get the funding or not for that. It's, that's unpredictable, but I think we can get it. And then we have another part-time position that helped upstairs with the finance stuff, and our lead clerical person is going to assume those responsibilities that part-time person had. So, that's my thought process. Kimmy's going to take over that stuff. Kimmy and Steve, I think they can do it. And then, and it's just a thought process in my mind of how I can get somebody down there to do this part-time, and so we don't run into this issue of, somebody vacating that spot. And we don't have somebody immediately trained up to be able to jump in there if we have to, so.
So you're going to have a full-time person doing it, and then a
Yes, ma'am.
part-time person who
Correct.
would be cross-trained so
Yes.
that you've got extra
Absolutely.
help, or somebody in
ma'am. Sorry about
the,
that.
in the
Yeah.
wings, okay.
Yeah, but, yeah.
And the full-time person replaces the one that resigned
Yes, sir.
abruptly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we're just basically adding a part-time.
Yes, sir, yeah.
So
And the
the
part-time would
cross-train.
probably be in, like, the evening hours. Because I
Okay.
have an idea who wants to, kind of already in there, doing that job and assisting the full-time, so.
So by part-time, you mean about 24 hours a week, or is that what you define
Uh,
part-time? I don't know.
20, yes.
20?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so with that one out of the way, we'll go to the next one, the lead executive officer position. We're still continuing to support that. That is our advocate that is out in the community, that is helping, the initial origination of that position was based on the opioid epidemic. At the height of the opioid epidemic in 2017, unbelievably, we had 33 overdoses with 5 fatalities. Very tragic. But amazingly, right now, over the past 2 years, we've had 2 overdoses. So I think this system has worked, that philosophy has worked very well. So we've expanded the responsibility of the executive officer to help with the homeless population in town, those experiencing some financial poverty, financial problems, and a big source of calls that we get nowadays are mental illness calls. I haven't done the percentages, but I would say 30–40% of the calls we have are related to mental illness. So he's a huge, does a great job with that. He also partners with the Klein Family Center. Harford County is fortunate to have a facilities like that. I think it's they're not everywhere, and people from Baltimore, all over this side of the state, go to the Klein Center, and he's a partner with them. And they have some reps there that started LEAD in the municipalities of Aberdeen and Havre de Grace. So it's working over there now too. And Chip, they're kind of a good team, a lot of teamwork there. And he's also he's also a partner in the Seniors and Citizens in Need group committee. So that kind of gives them a tool in their arsenal, in their tool belt, for when we do have some problems here that he could help with. It gives them something to use. So he's there for them. So we'll continue to support that. Lastly, in the non-sworn section, we would like to create a supervisory position in the dispatch section, and some of the expertise, and I kind of went over in the record information coordinator, expertise and talent, and the ability to navigate the technology advances, they kind of fall within this too. It's becoming a very expertise-oriented position, And what we've done in the past traditionally is we've relied on supervisors to oversee them. And unfortunately, they just don't have the know-how or the background or the skill set to be able to understand what's going on in there. So what I'd like to do is to create a supervisory position that can be able to oversee them. And, you know, with your help, we've increased the staffing in there to 8. There used to be like 5, I think, 5 to 6, and a couple part-time. So I think that would help a lot with that.
Just to clarify that, that's just promoting an
ma'am.
existing, not
Correct.
adding
Correct.
another supervisor
Correct.
position.
And they would be required to also work shifts also.
Right. So you'd just be promoting one and then it'd be an increase in salary
Yes,
for
sir.
that one
Mhm.
person?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the calls for service have increased significantly. Well, it seems like the calls for service have increased. I've run the numbers, and the numbers don't seem as high. And I've checked with other municipalities, and they're seeing the same thing. We don't understand why. Maybe it's because officers are running from call to call, and they don't have the time to initiate the calls themselves. But it seems very busy, so we try to have double coverage in there during the busiest times too. So just for your awareness.
And you have a terrific response time, particularly when something happens on Main Street and the call comes directly into the non-emergency line
Oh,
at the
yeah.
police department. That was really quick.
So we had a hit and run the other day at Hickory Avenue, and we have a person that's interested in lateraling over, riding with Officer Green. He passed the car that was involved in the hit and run right down by the parking garage, had a small, he followed it pretty closely for a little bit, blew through the light there at 22, and it crashed. So we ended up having not one but 2 DUIs because the 2 women, apparently one was had hardly any clothes on. She had, you know, underwear, that's about it, but they were both drunk and they switched drivers while they were going down the street. But the response time was incredible. He's right there. And the officer that wants the lateral, he put his application in the next day. So he was pretty excited about that. So, but yes, the response time we have is incredible. So that's all I have for non-sworn. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Just approximately, what would the increase in salary be then for the supervisor?
It's about $4 or $5 grand. It would go from GS 160 to GS 170.
So
I think
about
it's
5
$4 grand.
About
Yes, sir.
5K?
Yes, sir. Am I
Okay.
correct on that, Lisa? Huh? Not too bad, huh?
No?
I knew Mr. Chismar would ask that.
Lisa's looking.
I don't have that exact number because it's built into
Oh,
the
here.
vacations, promotions, new hires, leave payouts line on page 135.
I can't see that, but it's in GS 160.
Can you see that?
I see a lot of GS 160
Too-
spots. I
too-
don't see
too bad,
any 170s. I see a 180 and a 200.
'Cause I mean, it depends on who it is, but
On page like 136, 135.
it's probably around 4.
Pardon?
Probably around 4.
Okay.
Okay.
In fairness to the chief, he did say 4,000 or 5,000,
Yeah.
so.
And then I think he went to 5.
She usually corrects me, and she's usually right.
Well,
Got
from a
one on
budgeting
that.
point of view, I'll use the 5 number. That way you're safe. Right, yeah, mine, you know, just from my perspective, it's the same. Is it worth it? Yeah, it's already built in.
So, we'll go to salaries of the sworn, and I've neglected to give the increase of the non-sworn, but the actual requested budget amount is going to be slightly lower than what it was in last fiscal year. Correct? So now we'll go to the salaries of the sworn, which again, it's slightly lower. Our request this year is slightly lower than last year. And then some corrections or changes that I would like to make there is, and I know we worked very hard to create a lieutenant rank, and we did that fiscal year before last. We did that. We had a very laborious process that we started. We changed a lot of policies, created the rank, and gave the lieutenant responsibilities for that position. We had 2 other individuals, sworn individuals, that also participated in the process. So we had three applicants for that position, 3 three contestants for that lieutenant spot. One rose to the top, he got promoted. And then suddenly, at 25 years, and, I know policing it's getting a little difficult. He said, I don't really want to do this anymore. He wanted to retire, and it's just fine. So in February, the lieutenant retired. And this caused us to say, hey, let's check out this rank to see if it was really rising to the level of optimization that we expected from it. And we said, hey, after myself and the major and a couple of people close to the top of the ranks, we looked at it and said, hey, some of the tasks and duties associated with that lieutenant rank could easily be absorbed by the two sergeants below that were already kind of doing a lot of those things. And these are extra responsibilities, including oversight of that records information coordinator that I spoke about. It's a lot of obligated responsibility for those supervisors. So we said, hey, let's take that lieutenant rank, which was 8% higher in grade than the sergeant's rank, and let's split it in half. Let's do 4% and promote those other two sergeants to D sergeant and a first sergeant. So that's what we'd like to do there. And I think, again, we kind of did a pilot on that. We gave them the duties and obligations that the lieutenant had, and these sergeants are veterans. They're 24, 25 years. They're very passionate and dedicated, and they did a great job in the competition for the lieutenant rank. And we thought it would only be fair to give them, split it and let them have what the lieutenant rank was, and just call it D sergeant and first sergeant.
So Chief, are you eliminating the lieutenant
Yes, sir.
position?
We're going to
So
eliminate
we'll
that
be-
position.
Staff-wise, that's one down.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, no. So, no, that position
Okay.
will be recycled going back. We want to get people back on the road, back on the street.
So it'll go to a
Yes, sir.
patrol officer?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's
Mhm.
what,
Yep.
all right.
I said there's cost savings there. I think it's really just a wash. I don't think there's any true cost savings, but I will say this. Mr. Krantz and I, we worked on that process. It's a lot of work to do that. It's going to be some time savings for us, and probably some cost savings there too, but yeah, with that. Any questions?
I may have missed it. The sections that are struck about the additional 2 officers,
Yes, sir. I would have loved to have had those, but I understand.
They
Do we
were eaten by the cost increase in the health insurance. It blew a rather large hole
Yeah.
in the budget.
Yes, it was,
So-
Yeah, yeah,
it was a big
unfortunately, they were
curveball.
cut.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so,
So
let's
are
go-
are we at a net neutral then in terms
Yes,
of
sir.
staff members?
33. And let me go back to this a little bit. I almost forgot. So, Mr. Krantz, thank you very much, and Lisa. We spoke about another kind of a unique situation that maybe you want to, the thought is in our mind, but maybe something for you to think about and brainstorm with us. But we've had some challenges. I'm not going to say we didn't have some challenges over the past year with staffing, unexpected challenges. And Mike did a great job with this, but he did like an assessment, maybe an opportunity to try to have some people sitting on the sideline or waiting in case we have some future vacancies, unexpected vacancies. So I'll go through this report. It's a request for authority to hire above authorized strength. So currently, we're authorized for 33 sworn officers, and our current staffing is 30 active sworn officers. We just hired, and he's part of this total. We just hired a lateral from the town of Aberdeen, a 25-year plus sergeant. He wanted to come here. It's going to be a great addition. We have one officer in the police academy, which is 6 months. We have one awaiting an academy. And she's going to be assigned to dispatcher parking enforcement. And then I just kind of intimated that we have another lateral that we could be getting here soon. But to get those people in the sworn position, and this is all, the standards and certifications that we need through the Maryland Police Correctional Training Center, it takes a minimum of 6 months sometimes, and if it's a new officer, up to almost a year. So while technically, you know, it looks like we're down 3, really it's going to be kind of lower. Then to add on, within the last couple months, and we were doing okay with that. We were filling the spots, everything was working fine, but unexpectedly, we had 4 officers, just out of the blue, with illnesses and injuries and things like that, and they're on modified duty. And if they're on a modified or restricted medical duty for 30 days or more, we have to medically suspend them, take their guns and everything else. So you think that's it, right? So you know we're heavy on military personnel. We like the discipline. So we had 2 officers in the Marine Corps that were scheduled for active duty deployment. So we lost 2 more. So in theory, we look okay. With 33, we're down to 30. But in reality, our effective staffing, because of those unanticipated challenges, we're down to 24 deployable officers, 27% below authorized strength right now.
Excuse me, I forget, when are they being deployed?
Well, I don't really want to put that out, but
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
they're-
that's
yeah,
fine,
they're
okay.
sometime around this month, yeah. So we're kind of hurting right now. It's not because of people are leaving the department or anything like that. It's just some of those things that happen. When they happen in larger agencies, and you know this, ma'am, the issue can be resolved. You know, there's a lot of other people that can fill in for those vacancies temporarily, but we just don't have them. Other potential risks are we have 4 officers who currently have 25 years or more and could retire with a full pension, like they could do it tomorrow. And 3 additional officers will reach 25 years of service within the next 36 months. So, again, we've kind of went over the hiring and training timelines. New recruit, 12 to 18 months before independently working patrol. Lateral hire, 6 months before road ready. And operational concerns, difficulty meeting patrol staffing levels. We've got some morale issues. I've got to give my troops a lot of credit. They've risen to the challenge. They've been working the overtime. A lot of times they don't want to. They'll find that they'll see that there's a vacancy in the next shift, and then they got to stay over, and the next shift has to come in 4 hours early. But we need to keep at least three officers on the street. That's our minimum staffing levels. And what we'd like to do in the future, because late shift has been so busy and it's going to get busier again, we'd like to bump that up to 4 for the evening shift between like 3 and 11, just to help with that.
You need that 3 to 11 and not like the bar hours? You're
So-
talking about 3 p.m. to 11 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I would have thought with the weather getting warmer, weekends, bars, you might
So-
need them
Yes.
there instead.
So one of the great things we have in the town here is we have a downtown bar patrol that we have staffing between 11 and 2:30 on Fridays and Saturdays. We have two positions, 2 slots for that, and typically they're filled. Because, again, it's been getting busier.
And I understand the problems that being understaffed presents for morale, because then if
Yes.
you're not interested in working overtime because you have, family thing to do, or you just want to go home and do whatever you want to
Mhm.
do, but there's overtime and it needs to be covered, it's after a while, sometimes people just aren't interested in the money, they want to go home and do something else.
It definitely can create some burnout. I've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it too, you know. Did you have a question, Kristen? Oh, okay.
So Chief,
Uh-huh.
with basically, when we lose the 2 for deployment, we'll be down to 24. Can we maintain 3?
We're doing it.
We're doing
Yep,
it?
Yep, so,
Okay.
some of the things that we're doing, innovative little things that, and this helps with overtime, the overtime category, we'll look ahead and, we'll change shifts. So if there are those instances where there's 4 people working, or let's say the SRO, school's off, we'll move the SRO from that day. It's not nice with them, but we'll modify their shift to make them, to plug those holes. We do little things like that to also help save overtime. And sergeants are working. I mean, we're getting the sergeants to work patrol just like the officers too.
Okay.
And command, we've, myself and, my major and our other administrative sergeant administrative sergeant has been working a lot. And that's one of the things that I looked at to say, hey, you know what? This guy's really putting out, he's really contributing, so that kind of helped him on the promotion side. Yeah. but-
Any idea when maybe the medical,
Well, again, we,
recall, but might come back?
some of them not too long, but
Okay.
one of them broke his foot. I mean, there's some things, he's going to be out for a while, some medical problems where it might be extended for some of those people. But
And you
Uh,
said the SROs, like in the summer, they go back on patrol?
yes, when we need them back on patrol, we get them back there. I forgot to tell you that two of our newer officers, and again, I'm not disparaging them, but they just came in one day and said, hey, we're kind of done with this. Policing's just it's not the shining star that it used to be. It is what it is. And another thing that I got a little bit of concern about, and again, you all are very supportive, but some of the police agencies, some of our local police agencies, usually we're at the top on salary. Havre de Grace just kind of jumped ahead of us, which good for them, great for them. But I've got to be a little concerned about people wanting to jump ship and go to other agencies. So, but right now we're good. I don't see any indications of that. None of that has happened since I've been here, and I think that says a lot for our community. They're very supportive of the police, and I think we're fairly safe here. And the cops like the environment. So I haven't seen it yet, but when you start to see other police agencies, and Havre de Grace is a pretty place, I gotta say, it's nice up there. But I don't want to give anybody any hints.
But not as nice as Bel Air.
I'm not going
All right.
there. So with that, what Mike has proposed is to be able to hire above and beyond the 33 sworn officer authorized strength, and have some sitting in the sidelines. Of course, if we lose some, we're not going to replace those positions, but to have them sitting in the sidelines. And again, I know, ma'am, you're familiar that some of the larger agencies, they have an expectation, a vacancy rate that they know that they're going to keep. But for smaller agencies like us, it's difficult. And when we sat together and tried to justify it, I think Lisa brought up maybe a letter of intent that the officers that are close to retiring, we kind of know when they're leaving. And none of those are soon, but within a year or two, maybe we could get a letter of intent that say, hey, I'm leaving now. And what I've always seen, because there's always been a few vacancies here, we've never seemed to exceed the budget line item for what's allotted in that salary category, because there's always a vacancy there. So,
Chief, when you,
No, but a lot of the times you make up for it in overtime.
yes.
So, there's savings in salaries, right, when you have vacancies and whatnot, but then
it's eaten
you
up
see
into
it in overtime because you have to work the overtime. So it's not a one-for-one, but it's pretty doggone close.
You think
Can
so?
be.
You think it's?
Can be.
And I always thought that was sort of problematic because, sometimes people want overtime, but then other times you're having a hard time getting people to volunteer for overtime because they get tired of working
Yep.
and they have other demands on their time that they need to take care of.
Mhm.
So there are some agencies that run with
Yeah.
huge overtime budgets, and I just don't get why they don't hire more people, although that can be difficult as well.
Right.
Especially now with recruiting.
you don't want
officers.
overtime to be the norm.
No, you don't want a
want
lot
over-
of overtime to
right,
be the
big
norm.
norm,
I mean, you
right.
want it to be there
No,
for
you
people
don't.
that are, interested in working
It's
some
just- it's not
overtime,
good.
but it's not good to have it be the norm.
And-
They need time off.
And it sets off flags with media and all that.
Yes.
You just don't want to do that if you don't
Yes.
have to, but.
Chief, if I could
Yes,
just
sir.
insert
Yeah.
a little bit.
I was going to
There-
ask if you
there's-
had anything to
Yeah,
add.
thank you. There's
Mhm.
no intention in this idea to exceed the maximum staffing of 33. In fact, we might never exceed the maximum staffing of 33 if we continue to have unexpected turnover, which what Chief was saying typically does happen. There's always seems to be a vacancy, and we always seem to be hiring. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to jinx it any
I know.
further, but the thought process is if we don't really want to take our foot off the gas in terms of recruiting, and because it takes that 12 to 18 months to get somebody up to speed or recruit and 6 months for lateral, and it's typically difficult to find the laterals and easier to find the recruits, but then getting the recruit to stay, is the next most important thing. So we're just struggling with how to put it into the budget. Lisa had some excellent ideas, which I'll allow her to potentially suggest. The chief had an excellent idea about other larger agencies have a vacancy rate or a vacancy ratio. So how do we do it without inserting money into the budget now? Would it be if we actually have retention and then we're at that 33 number and we don't want to take our foot off the gas in terms of recruiting, because we anticipate there's probably going to be another retirement next year, there's probably going to be some unexpected turnover this year, how can we then hire that extra recruit and keep them going, through the academy and budget for it? Can we do it mid-year? Can you do it, do you have to do it now at the beginning of the fiscal year? So really, literally, the word you use in terms of brainstorm is really where we're at. But the goal is not to take our foot off the recruiting, because talking to Dave Hughes, our major, and chief, they've had some real success in finding some really good candidates, and we want to keep going in that direction.
I'm 100% on board with not taking our foot off the gas on
Right, on
recruitment,
recruiting, yeah.
because we always have to be ready.
Yes, ma'am.
There's just always
Yeah.
somebody that is going to leave for whatever reason. If you're at retirement age, you may not plan to retire, and then something may come along that you're like, this is the opportunity, I can't let it go by, I'm going to retire and take this
Yep.
other thing. You have to plan for it, because you can't anticipate it really.
Right.
So you just have to, figure that's going to happen.
And just kind of
Item.
being new on where does the 33 number come from? Is that just the number that?
That's just how it's progressed over the years
So
and
it's the
evolved. you know.
authorized number of sworn officers according to the fiscal year budget.
Okay.
When I first got here, I think it was at 31. We've done some creative work. We've moved some people that were administrative before employees they were sworn in administrative positions, and we've, with the help of the commissioners, we've put them back on the street. So
Right, the
we've
quartermaster
bumped it
is now a
Yes, sir. Yes,
civilian
ma'am.
position, and that position is now a uniformed officer on the street.
Mhm.
And that's a trend that I see in other departments as well, to take those positions that you can make non-sworn and
Yep.
then return those people to, law enforcement duties in patrol, because they're the more
Desperately
expensive
needed.
people. That's
Yeah.
where we need them.
Mhm.
And they have to be
Yep.
credentialed, and so to put somebody like that in a position that doesn't need all those credentials, in some ways doesn't make sense. So a lot of departments are, where they used to have sworn officers and those kinds of positions, are now moving them back out to
Right.
the street and making those administrative civilian positions, and that's what the chief has done. So, but
Yeah.
it's, the problem really with Bel Air is that it's such a small department. When you have the usual couple of, somebody's hurt, somebody's deployed, and somebody else is retiring, it blows a much larger hole in their manpower than it does in a department that's got like 3,000, authorized strength. So you have to, figure it out, and you've done a great job at figuring
Well,
out.
thank
But
you,
I
ma'am.
I am respectful of the fact that the guys get tired and don't
Yeah.
want to do any more overtime. They want to go home and mow the lawn or
Mhm.
play with their kids, or, do whatever.
I come in the morning and someone will be like, "Hey, I'm working again,"
Right.
all night, and I'm like, "I'm sorry,"
Chief, a couple more questions. When you said if you overhire, you'd have them ready on the sideline, what do you mean by that?
Maybe not, maybe that's the wrong term to use, but they'll be sitting there to take, if we need them, if we have the vacancies, they have gaps, they'll already be trained up and ready to go. And also,
But I mean, they'll be on the payroll, right?
they'll be on the payroll,
So
yeah.
why
They'll
would
just
you-
be a
so-
regular cop.
Right.
So figuratively on the
I mean, if we had-
sideline, so if, let's say one of the retirees heads out, that position's not gonna be replaced again. So that's
Right.
kinda, it's not, we're not gonna go, how do I phrase that, Michael?
The concept would be to hire 34, a 34th officer,
Right.
if we ever get to that point. The
Knowing that
concept
we're gonna
would
lose
be
one.
to hire a 35th officer. But the goal would not to retain the 34 or 35th officer. It would be to, when one of the more senior people retire, to drop back down to.
And then not
to
hire
the
another
rate.
after
You
that.
ju- You just let
Yeah.
attrition take its course.
Right, I mean, that's.
So
kinda like-
the struggle is, how do we budget for it? I mean, doing it is not a problem, you know, and even if the board would give the police department the authorization to hire over 33, verbally even, you know, putting that extra 100 grand, I guess, in the budget, just for one more person, which includes salary and benefits and uniforms and all those other things, does it, budgeting for it now, and then it just, that 100 grand just sitting there and going unused because we can never get above 29, you know, could be the issue. So it's, maybe this is just a conversation that may never take place, but I guess we're kind of, we're breaching the topic because we want to have the reassurance that we can do what I said a moment ago, is continue to recruit. And if
Right.
we don't experience any turnover, we might end up over 33. And then it does become a budgetary issue, because it might not have been budgeted during your vote in the upcoming FY27 election in the end of May. So then it would have to be adjusted, because suddenly you have an officer on and so-and-so decided not to retire. Even if they got a letter of intent, maybe they withdrew it. You know, so you certainly wouldn't require a senior officer to retire if they decided to change their mind. You'd thank them for staying. You know, but at the same time, how do you budget for it? You know, in such a
right.
significantly tight budget. The easy solution is what Chief Moore said at the beginning. You adopt an extra 100 grand vacancy rate, and that covers it for that one officer. You know,
And,
but that's
yeah,
not an easy thing to do when we don't have 100 grand to budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
But-
part of the problem is, and that's why we had to cut those 2 additional officers, is we don't have the money to be able to do that. So I think it's something that the chief, Michael, and I, and my successor just has to keep at the forefront. And as we progress to the point where, okay, now we're fully staffed.
Yes, we fully staffed.
Now
and
what,
Yep.
now
Yep.
it's an issue, right? Because, I mean, it's not that the money's, it's not that it's gonna be, it would happen outside of the budget. Because, I mean, that's not a big deal, we just do a budget amendment. But you have to have the money to be able to do it.
To do it, right.
Right, that's the problem. You have to have the money to be able to do it. And so when Michael and I talked about it this week, I said, you know, I'm extremely uncomfortable with it
Yeah.
right now without having any type of, it's all hearsay right now with the officers. I mean, we have one who's a potential later this fall. But it's just talk. It's pretty, he sounds pretty definite, but we also had an officer who's been talking that same talk for over a year. So, you know, from my perspective, until we get that letter from them, I'm not really comfortable with it. I totally understand where Chuck's coming from in all this, and I sympathize, and I want to be able to do whatever I can from a financial aspect to help him. But you also can't put the cart before the horse either. I mean, you can't hire someone if you don't have the money to pay them just waiting for an officer who says they're going to retire. Because what if it doesn't happen for a year? Now you've got $100,000, I'm just making that number up because we've been talking about that. That's in the budget, that you've spent, I don't have any money for.
that the loaded cost for an entry level?
No, we're just,
Okay,
again,
just
we
throwing it
just,
out.
we
Okay.
just,
Ballpark,
somebody
yeah,
said
ballpark.
100,000, so,
Ballpark for an entry level?
I mean, it's, once you
Okay.
get benefits added to that,
That's what I
and
mean, a loaded
uniforms,
salary with all the-
and gun, and,
Right.
Yeah, because the starting salary is a little over 60,000.
mhm.
Right, and then all the
And then the
benefits
benefits
right,
and the
that's
equipment and everything, it would be darn
Correct.
what we
close to.
call a loaded salary.
I would,
It's
I
with
would
all the
bet-
stuff.
Oh, that'd be about 100,000.
Do we have any kind of like I mean, this is a probably ridiculous question, but I know when I retired from the school system, that if you put in by December, you know, with the school year, if you put in by December, then you got a $500 bonus. You said that you were going to retire, and you put it in writing, and you put your paperwork in. I mean, I know we're small, but I mean, do we have anything like that, no?
We actually want our people to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's obviously not something that's going to get solved this evening.
Right.
But it's, I think more we're bringing it to your attention that it's on our radar, and we're looking at it, and Michael and I want to be able to support the chief in handling this. But let's get, in my opinion, let's get closer to that point
I
of
agree.
being
Yep.
fully staffed first. And then it'll be like, okay,
Right.
do we want to try to hire somebody else, or how close is maybe that retirement of the person who's been talking about it?
Right.
You know, you just have to relook at everything, reevaluate everything
Yeah.
at that point in time. I think we're way early.
Right. We got to get the full staff first, so we're at least 3
Yes.
below.
So our
Got that.
big
And-
operational challenge here is not so much 33 versus 35, it's getting to 33 in the first place.
and-
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
But what
I agree.
concerns me,
We're close,
is the
though.
12
We
to
have
18
some
months
quality people in the
to get 'em out.
pipeline,
Yeah.
and that's why I wanted to discuss it.
Right.
We are close, so
Yeah.
you know, I'm going to be optimistic, you know, and think that this next group of candidates, recruits and laterals, are going to stick and stay, you know, and then we probably will have the retirement that we're anticipating. So that'll put us behind the 8 ball again. But optimistically, it's prudent for us to plant the seed in your minds
Right.
that
Mhm.
this could come back to you, like Lisa says, in upcoming months.
Because what concerns me is the 12 to 18 months to get them out on patrol on a new recruit. So you're down
That's
a
a
year,
problem.
year and a half.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
It is.
type of thing, and
Yep.
not having somebody waiting in the
Yep.
wings. I mean, you know, like you said, let's wait till we get the full strength, and then we'll address the issue.
And then
if
we've
need
never
be.
had this problem, but you always have a little bit of a concern that they don't make it through. You know, there's a problem with them, you know, so.
And everybody wants to do everything in Bel Air, and I don't want to steal any of the chief's thunder, but he probably was going to say this, you know, the officers, and you were saying it yourself, Mayor Edding, that the officers do tire of all the extra duties, you know.
Thank you,
The-
Mike.
The
Yep,
events are
they do.
phenomenal, you know, it's what makes it gives our town an identity, you know, the Derby, the barbecue bash, the Independence Day, the 4th of July, all the wonderful things, the Wine Fest, all the things that happen in the town of Bel Air make our town special, but they do happen on the backs of our public works employees as well
Mhm.
as our
Public Works, yeah.
officers. And the worst case scenario for any supervisor is to deny someone's vacation, you know? And it's come close, and it has happened in the past. So we really don't want to do that.
It's happened.
And we want to be.
Yep, it's
yeah,
happened.
It's probably happened in the police
It happens a
department
lot,
more than
yeah.
anywhere else, you know, and
Yeah.
that's the most damaging to morale than anything else.
So they will actually lock down the days. There's probably been officers here that haven't celebrated a 4th of July in 25, 26 years, because when we have like a 4th of July event or a Main Street closure, we call that an all hands on deck. Everybody that's available has to work. So, I mean, they're used to it, and actually the morale's pretty high, but, you know, some of them.
That is all pretty common in police work. I know some
Yeah.
officers that
Yeah.
worked New Year's Eves forever,
Mhm.
or also other jurisdictions also cancel all leave for 4th of
Yep.
July, and
Yep.
St. Patrick's Day's become a big event too
Mhm.
everywhere.
Yes.
So I
We'll
get
talk
wanting to
we'll
have
talk
it
some
off,
about
but
that,
Yeah.
It is part of the
Bless you.
job, unfortunately. I think really, I mean, I see what you're saying about this alternate way, but unfortunately, the budget problems caused by the huge increase in health insurance premiums, just having some extra officers would also be a help, because they'd be permanently on the books and you would have a little more
Yeah.
breathing room, so it's unfortunate. Are we still at the 20% increase from our premiums? Thought so.
Yeah, that was a hit, wasn't it? Okay, any other, I know that was long. So I guess we'll go to the page 139, overtime pay, 0105. Might as well just hit that while we've already discussed it. But again, we did have our amount budgeted is $286,650. And actually, we went over about 16% from last year's budget. We were allowed we were supposed to be right at 281,000, and we spent, currently we're up to 324. So that's just an indication of the hit that we're taking is right now with these vacancies and people on restricted duty, et cetera. So we're hoping that this will be resolved with the influx of more personnel. And part of the overtime impact on overtime was, again, I've kind of alluded to the rise in retail theft in the area. We spent 120 hours on retail theft initiatives. It's around $8,600. And actually that worked quite well. And, again, I want us to be the safest city in Maryland. And when you have a bunch of Part 1 crimes and theft and shopliftings are included in that, we got to knock those down. So I did a analysis recently of the current time frame to last year's time frame, and actually we're down. We were at 96 last year and 96 this year and 129 last year. So that's a good sign. We're impacting that.
That's a significant
Yeah.
decrease.
Yeah. And again, but it takes overtime. It takes extra work. It takes people out there being vigilant to do that. Any questions on that?
For some of the overtime, the events are either reimbursed or a certain percentage. Is that just agreements that the town has with these different entities that we determine
Yes.
whether
The
or not?
first county-oriented or nonprofit that we sponsor organizations, the first $300 are free. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I'll go over some of that on the next one down, if you're okay.
Chief, before we leave
Yes, sir.
overtime, so that we budgeted $281,000 this fiscal year.
Last fiscal year.
Well,
Yeah.
the one that we're currently in, I mean.
Yes, correct.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm, yes.
And we're already at 305, and that number's going to continue to
Mhm.
rise. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, but you have salary savings to pay for it.
Right.
Yep, so it's what I mentioned earlier with, you see elevated overtime, but savings in the salaries
Mhm.
to compensate
Right.
for that. Yep. So then when you budget like we are today, you go back to the normal level, because salaries are normal, overtime's normal. You have to kind of put out of your mind the abnormal years, which we've had a lot of abnormal years.
Right.
And you don't want to be lopsided there.
Right.
You want to stay with what's in the books, And I don't like that either. But. That good? Let's go down to the next one, 0106 overtime courts. So, let me see. We went over on that also from this current fiscal year when we took a look at it. One of the things that, and actually Lisa noticed this, that we were seeing was that our officers were being placed on call status a lot. We had some consultation with Allison, the state's attorney's office, always very friendly, always willing to help. And she's kind of worked on some things over there, including like that if the state's attorney doesn't call before, the state's attorney assigned the case, doesn't call before 11 o'clock, then they're off on call. So usually they'll get a call. And we've noticed some results. So the last several months, it's declining considerably. And the average for the year is around $2,800 a month. And since April, that's been reduced to 1,900. So we're seeing some good results with that. She's helped us out a lot with that, and I appreciate it. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because it was above what was allotted in that account. So any questions? So next one down, overtime special events, 0107. And this is consistent with what it was last year, but this is kind of deceiving a little bit because, you know, it says that, you know, the town's spending $61,200. I'm sure you're familiar, but I just want the citizens to see that. We're reimbursed a lot of this, this money here. So for instance, some of the in-kind assistance that we get from the 4th of July, and I got to extend kudos to the sheriff's office, our fire police personnel, our auxiliary. We get help from a lot of people, including having like drone overwatch, a lot of security. We've got to have a DPW, our DPW personnel, they're out there too. And anymore, you know, the security threats that are out there, we just can't have something happen. And we have to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So we have all of our personnel there, and I would say probably another 30 to 40 personnel from other allied agencies that are assisting us in keeping the roadways safe, blocking the roads. We use the dump trucks to do that. So we expend a lot of resources there, but we get a lot back from the community too. So that's 4th of July. For the St. Patty's Day, you'll see that cost her $6,300. Well, we get about half of that back because we have a contract with Loonies. They actually hire 2 of our officers that are there. We might even increase that a little bit for the next go around. But a lot of that is reimbursed by our officers and by the Loonies, which is the establishment that has, you know, they have a lot of business on St. Patty's Day, probably the most, you know. One of the things that triggered that was a few years back, you know, we're like, some of these citizens in town, they're not partiers, and why are our taxpayers paying for all of these officers to stand outside their location? So we have a trigger, so when we get the permits, application for permits in, and we go from the previous year, if there was a lot of things happening and we didn't have officers, we're gonna say on that permit, guess what? You had a lot going on there. A lot of our officers had obligated time at that location. Now it's your turn to pay. And you know what? We have quarterly tavern meetings. We really don't get any kickback, and I think they actually appreciate when we're there. So I think that's it for that one. Any questions? Oh, Explorers Grant. One more thing. Explorers Grant. It says costs are $11,000. Typically, we get around $4,000 from the community policing grant through GoCap, who really like our Explorer program and really appreciate what we do with the kids in the community. And the fact that, I mean, a lot of these kids, they go to be public servants, either soldiers, EMS, fire, you know, police. We have several of them here that were former Bel Air Police Explorers. So it's a good incubator. Any questions on that? Gavin, did you have questions on that one? I know you had some. You good? Okay. And ma'am, if you go to the next page, you'll see, I'm not going to go through it, but Downtown Patrol, 0111, line item 0111, that has an explanation what the Downtown Patrol is.
I did see that, and it does have the hours there that you're
Yes,
working,
ma'am.
which coincides with the bar hours.
Yes, travel and training, I'm going to touch on that a little bit. Really, there's nothing, it looks like a lot, but our logistics and certification person, the person that watches this training and goes through every year and does an evaluation of what's needed, he's really on point, and he's you know, he's fiscally responsible. So really, there's nothing that's extravagant. Now, what I will say is that what's hurting us here is, you know, we've got to put 2 officers through an academy, which is $8,000. It's $4,000 apiece. So that's a big expense. And then we have the good old Police Accountability Act, which requires officers to get a mental health assessment every 2 years. That cost us $6,200. That's an unfunded mandate. And what we're going to try to do, actually, and I think we've done it in the past, there's a Police Accountability Community Transparency, it's called PAC grant. We're going to try to get some reimbursement for that $6,200 through that grant. So, but really, the overall cost, the budgeted amount is about the same. It's about a wash from what it was last year. And again, a lot of the expenses were from academies. Any questions? So let's go to page 145, mobile data services. You'll see that the amount there is $33,120. Last year it was $23,000, and that is due to the addition of the Verkada artificial intelligent cameras to this line item, and the need to have a wireless connection there. It's called a cellular gateway for 15 of those public safety surveillance cameras that are being installed. So that created an increase there of around $7,200 for the gateways. And by the way, thank you for the trailer. That's going to be a nice addition to the network. We're getting that constructed now. It's like having a cyber cop on the street, you know. We had some great results with it.
Chief, what was the cut for 3,800? What was that cut out? The 8 cellular gateway?
Pardon me? I'm sorry, sir.
In that mobile data service, you cut out 8 cellular gateway wireless connections. What was that?
Oh,
Why were the 8 cut out?
That's due
What does that
to
reduce?
that's due to the Verkada, the next phase of the Verkada system being eliminated from the budget this go around.
All right.
Yes, sir. But I do have to say, and there could be a light at the end of the tunnel. We applied for the Arts and Entertainment grant. That could mean, I'm hopeful. I think we're hopeful on that one. Spent a lot of work on it. We could end up getting 4 cameras that have to be installed in the Arts and Entertainment, the business district, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So we could have 4 additional in there. Thanks with Stephanie's help and Lisa. You guys helped with that. So let's go down to the next one, gasoline, 0430. Everybody's always worried about the gas prices. I think that we benefit incredibly from this consortium and partnership that we have with Hartford County. Looks like, you know, the average gallon of gasoline right now is around over $3. We're benefiting from 2.61 per gallon.
It was $4.19 at the
wow.
Wawa today.
Wow, it really shot up. So this is a huge advantage, and it's keeping it down. Now, they run out of, I think they usually get around 2 million gallons of fuel. But if they run out of that fuel, then we're going to be looking at a rise in the price. They have something they call floating and all this other stuff. I used to kind of understand it, but I think we're good right now. So, all right, this is the complicated one here. I need Lisa's help on this probably here. I think I got it, but this. Let's go to page 146 in the body cameras and tasers. So we started our body camera program in 2019, and we've had to renew a couple times, and this will be the 3rd renewal that we want to do with our body camera, with our body camera agreement with Axon. And I wish I had stock in Axon, I tell you, because the prices rise. You know, every time you got to renew this thing. But during the first one, I think it was around $100,000. It was over a 5-year installment, and the overall cost was about $100,000. The next one went to $185,000, and this newest one is going to go up to, I think it's like $400,000. I'll have to look it up. But at any rate, it wasn't due to expire yet. But Lisa and I got together and we're like, you know what? Every time we have to renew this thing, it goes up a lot. So we have a very good representative in Axon, and he said, you know, you can renew it now and benefit from cost savings by renewing it early. I think we had 2 years left on it. So we decided to start the renewal process, which is going to bring the price up some, you know, because because it was still open, our old contract, we were at $48,465. But it's going to jump up to $77,121 because of this, because of our efforts to renew and try to save some money at the front end. Another problem we have is that we actually have 3 other open contracts. Do you need to take a break or something? You good? We had 3 other open contracts, and we have to look and see when these things, when the invoices are due. We have to go through and make sure we're getting charged the right amount of prices. It was a lot of work watching all these other contracts. So what we wanted to do is consolidate those other open contracts into this one. So you'll see there where we had one open for 26 extra cameras. So the officers have an extra camera. And this was related to the Hughes homicide that we had with the infant. Fortunately, a deputy rolled up on the scene off duty, and he had a second camera on, and he was able to capture that. Had that been one of our officers been off duty without a camera, we wouldn't have been able to capture that. Because the cameras at the time weren't technologically advanced enough to be able to have, we wouldn't have had it, because they have to download. It takes time to download. It takes time to charge. But since then, they've increased. They've become more advanced, and the officers can actually get more memory out of the camera, and they get more charge time. So basically, we only need one. And if we were to have needed the other 26 cameras, you could have put on another $150,000 onto that. So we're trying to save some money there. So they're going to be gone, and the remaining amount of time for that contract is going to be absorbed into this new one for some cost savings. And then lastly, the other contract we had, and we got these modules through a grant, through the PAC grant. They're going to be absorbed inside, those accessory packages are going to be absorbed inside the new contract. And our representative actually added on something called Transcribe. And this will really increase the efficiency of our officers to be able to go through. If they know that they said something during the conversation, they don't have to go through the whole, they don't have to go through all of the footage. They can do a search for it and find it, and they can even use it for the reports. So it'll be a nice advancement for us. Any questions on that? Did I get it all, Lisa? Did I get it? Good. Next page, 147, 0506, firearm supplies. The requested budget amount is $19,000. This year, it was $16,000 last year, several thousand higher. We have some very good firearms instructors and experts in the field there, and what they try to do is they have some ammunition sitting on the side, because again, they're concerned about all these extra hirings, and we've got to run thousands of rounds through a new employee to try to get them, adequately trained. And also this is for our regular allotment of ammunition that we have for certification. It's for upkeep at the range. We have to pay rent to Aberdeen Police Department to use the range. It's all those expenses involved in there. One of the issues that we ran into a few years back around COVID, everybody was running out of ammunition. And they're always very worried about not being able to get the ammunition if they need it. And we have some conflicts going on outside the country, which causes a drain on ammunition. So they try to get a little extra to have sitting in the back just in case it's needed. So that's why that's higher. Good? Questions? Uniforms. Uniforms at page 147. Line item 0512. So this is a little higher, and I'm sure you probably can figure that out. We've got to hire 2 new officers, and to completely outfit an officer with duty gear, uniforms, and everything, it's $7,500 a piece. It's very expensive. So that's a big reason for the rise in cost on that one. Otherwise, it would have been around the same. Steve, the quartermaster, he's the same as the certification officer. He's trying to work out and try to get cheaper prices when he can. And I think he's going to talk to you about that, or Marty, soon, because I think we can get it lower than what the Sourcewell price is. We're going by that Sourcewell price, and he's like, look, I can go lower than this on some things. So I don't know how that would work procurement wise. So he's going to be talking to Marty about that. Yes, ma'am. Any questions? The vest, go to 0515. There's an increase there because more officers have to get vests, and we rely on we'll alternate the grant sources for this. There's the GoCap governor's office that we, 1 year will do that, and they will help fund some of the outer vest carriers that we have. But when you go through the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program, it's federal, the BVP, they will not fund the outer vest carriers. So that adds some cost there to that. And the price of the vest went up about $400. They're now $1,430 a piece. They were $1,000. So. Patrol vehicle accessories, 0570, that's going to be lower than last year, simply due to the fact that we had one extra car that we purchased because of the extra officer. And we like to have a pool car or two in case one goes down, which hasn't happened in a while, knock on wood, but it has happened, or God forbid a crash or something like that. So we like to have, and usually the pool cars that we have, they're the ones that high mileage, that kind of thing, and we have them sitting on the side just waiting. So it's 3 packages rather than 4 this year, and each accessory package is $25,000 a piece. Vehicle maintenance, 0601. We're always right on the bubble with that. And speaking with Matt and the fleet manager, Sergeant Farrell, that's not due to the maintenance, or that's not due to vehicle issues, equipment issues like transmissions going out or engines. Apparently, the prices have gone up considerably on everything. Brakes, oil, it's like doubled from what it was a couple years ago, probably just like the grocery store stuff that we see. Went to the grocery store yesterday and got 2 things, 3 or 4 things, and it was $50. I'm like, this is just crazy now, the way things are. Any questions? Lastly, no, I've got a couple more things here. Vehicles capital. Page 151, Verkada. This is underneath 0805. There's a couple pages of that. Again, we've kind of touched on the Verkada, the value that the Verkada command or the Verkada system has given us in the town of Bel Air as far as keeping us safer. One of the things that John Ganofsky, who is one of the primary individuals responsible for keeping up with the Verkada stuff, and I've got to extend some thanks and appreciation to him and some others here for helping me out with that, because it's just hard to keep up with it. But one of the things that he was finding is that we have the legacy surveillance systems in town, the Bosch systems. With this command, and we were actually enabled in piloting this with Infinity and Verkada. They said, hey, try this out, see what you think of it. So basically what this command connector will do, it will integrate with our older cameras, and it will actually give them some of the features, not all of them, some of the AI features that the Verkada has. So this command connector will enable us to pull in 50 of our Bosch cameras into that system and look at it as like a dashboard, along with our Verkada cameras. So, and that's what that purchase is about for $50,000. Any questions there?
Chief, just a,
Yes, sir.
they have those two paragraphs after the paragraph at the top that was striked out. You have the 50K in paren and then a 50K in the second paragraph. What do you?
So that
50K
was,
in brackets.
so what really should have happened is the first sentence there should have been scratched out. That was the 105,000 that we were requesting for the next phase of the Verkada cameras. I saw that too. Does that answer your question?
No, I'm not sure.
So, I can take it.
There's two 50Ks
Yep,
on those
yep.
paragraphs. One's in brackets and one's not, so I'm like, what is that?
The one bulleted item for the Verkada command,
Right,
that's a $50,000 purchase.
okay,
The second bullet, the requested budget was $155,000, 50 from the Command Connect and 105 for the second phase of Verkada.
okay.
That was, because Verkada's second phase was cut, it went from 155 to 50,000.
This is just the same item.
It's the same,
It's the same item.
Yes,
It's just showing you
Okay.
the change.
Because I'm thinking it's two different items and that.
No,
One-
no,
no,
yeah, I s-
155.
It went from 105 plus 50 equals 155 to
Yep.
0 plus 50 equals
Right.
50.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So lastly, from the budget perspective is, we requested, last page, 152, 0806. We requested this year, this next fiscal year, 150,000. This current last fiscal year, we requested 220 because again, we requested 4 cars rather than 3 be replaced. We try to be pretty strict. We try to replace them within 5 to 10 years. If they start getting 100,000 miles, we try to get rid of them too. And even though the mileage might be low, these officers, now they have to keep the cars running because of the CAD system. They can't shut them down because it would take 5 minutes to get it back online if they were to shut it off. So there's a lot of engine wear on some of these cars because they sit and idle a lot. We have a security system that, you can't jump in and take it. There's things that we can do to lock the cars down. So we're just not leaving cars sitting around running.
That is so comforting to hear.
Yes, it is.
Really.
I know. Yeah, I used to worry at first, when I first got here, they're like, hey, chief, you can't take the car. So
So we can't
I
take it
came
for a
from an
tour.
agency where my command car had 250,000 miles on it. So I wasn't used to that. So, any questions?
So 150K for 3, and does the 50K, does that include kitting them completely? Or just what's described there?
Well, so there's some, they do upfit them some, but then we rely on the rest of the upfitting from the accessory package line item
And those
on
run-
page 149.
Yeah.
It's 0570. Yeah. Yes, sir. Any questions?
So, the strike-throughs on 150 and 151, were those also casualties of
Yes,
the
sir.
hole in our budget?
Yes.
Okay. And now those are more, and correct me if I'm wrong, those improvements with the camera system, they are more capital in nature.
The
The
Verkada, like
Verkada,
the
yes.
phase 2 of the Verkada
Yes.
system, yes.
So what was there a debate about whether or not we pull from the capital reserve to fund that project?
It was not because we felt like we were already pulling enough
Okay.
from the capital reserve at that point. I had already told Chuck that the speed traffic trailer would probably be purchased out of this fiscal
Mhm.
year, and the drone was already kind of on the fence.
That was
But-
an extra toy, I know.
But we, when we met with the chief to talk about his budget, and said that phase 2 may have to wait another year. I mean, you were fine with that, so it is something that can go back in the budget if you
Mhm.
all want to pay capital for it. Town administrator and myself just felt that we were
Mhm.
at our comfort level
Sure.
with capital at
And
that point in
how
time.
much are we draining the capital reserve this year, do you?
It's over $900,000.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's a pretty big number.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got some extra money because of the technology budget with doing the items, the trenching and the fiber because of
Right.
what happened up the street on Pennsylvania. You don't
Mhm.
normally have that. So if that wouldn't have been there, probably could have done phase 2.
Out of the capital reserve. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly understand, we don't have the money to cash flow new officers. I was just
Yeah.
thinking that these being more capital in nature, but I understand. And, when you get a broader picture of, what is the bottom line for the capital reserve
Mhm.
going to look like? And surely that it's going to be a decrease as opposed to an increase. We understand that.
Right.
But that is a pretty decent chunk.
Right. Well, we also knew, that the capital reserve was going to take a hit with the condo trash project, and that the capital reserve may take a hit from a project that we're looking at right now of a property. You all are aware of what I'm talking about. So we were just being cautious. That's all.
And it might be a blessing in disguise a little bit. Let's cross our fingers with this grant. We can we can, reduce the size of the project if that happens, so. I think that's all I have. The red lights, anybody have, I'm sorry, you have?
Has the speed trailer already been purchased, or it's going to be purchased before the end of this fiscal year? Or we're just putting it off for now?
Nothing's been purchased that we were trying, that could potentially get moved from 27 to 26 until I start to work on a budget amendment for 26, which I'll start, I'm going to give myself a week to the audit, all the federal and state reports were due today. So give myself a little bit of a break, and then I'll start working on that budget amendment. So I'll have an answer for you. But nothing has been purchased or is even in the works yet. I've told the departments it's potential. Let's see.
And Chief, will we retire the existing trailer, or will
Yes.
we have two running?
We might try to get that, to get it fixed up. We might try to do some work on that, so, but it definitely needs something, because it's
I re-
hurting, isn't it?
I remember it, you put it out, and then it didn't collect the data.
Well, that's something different.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
something different, okay,
But this
got it.
new one, I think we'll be able to collect data also.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, any further questions for the chief?
Thank you all.
An ugly budget year, chief, sorry
And
about
I'm
that.
gonna miss Miss Moody, too. She's been my buddy. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so any discussion by us on budget issues? We have our,
Yep, we need to move to red
oh,
light.
I'm sorry.
Which is on page 124.
The chief said he was done, I thought we were done.
Sorry about that. 124. You want me to hit that, Lisa? or-
All right,
It's up
red
to
light
you.
camera.
Let me see, what is it? Let me see.
We are under a piggyback contract through the Howard County Consortium here. They had rebid the contract in fiscal year '24. ATS was again selected as the contractor, and they provide the camera and the processing services. So it was the original contract was for one period, and then 6 renewals. It is as you can see there in the first bullet, it's a per camera charge of about $4,100. There is a CPI increase in this contract, which has never been in any previous contracts. So there is a slight increase for a portion of the fiscal year. And then the second cost is the facility cost at Howard County. And that, again, has a slight CPI increase. So those two charges together is what equates to the budget. So what we pay ATS is not based on a per ticket. It used to be years ago, but no longer. It is a flat fee. Now, as the consortium or its members, as jurisdictions add lights, right, our cost is going to go down a little bit, because then the costs are spread over more red lights. But then if they drop some lights, then our costs go up. So just this fiscal year, in a 2-month period, our costs went down, and then they went back up. So it happens. It's just not, it's rare. It's been pretty stable over the years. So again, we're just budgeting with what we know today and not making any assumptions that we're going to have new members or new cameras in other jurisdictions. We're not looking at any new cameras here in town. So we have the 4. I have those listed on that page. Any other questions on red lights?
Chief, are each one of those violations examined by an actual
Yes,
officer
sir.
before we?
Yes.
Okay.
I know there'd been something in the legislature to allow non-sworn officers to review those tickets.
Yes.
Do you remember if it was approved or not?
Yes, it was.
It was approved,
Mhm.
but that's not what we do here.
No, well, actually, we do have one technician that does do it, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they're all each reviewed, but
Yep.
may or may not be reviewed by a sworn law enforcement officer.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Mhm.
All right, so that's all the budget presentations for tonight. And I did hear back from Derek while we were meeting, and he sent his apologies. So I have I've got him rescheduled for next Thursday. So I passed out the updated outstanding list with just adding 4 and 5 to the list from the last meeting, and adding some additional information on number 2 with done, since that has been completed. Was there anything this evening that you all would like me to add that's budget related? I did want to just mention to you all, we've had the fire company its presentation this evening, and yes, they were asking for an additional $300,000 over the $164,000 in fiscal year '24. So that brings their request up through 2029 to $464,000. Good luck, because it's just, that's a lot of money. It's going to take probably a tax rate increase in order to get to that level of contribution. We are doing the best that we can with increasing our contribution to them as much as we can. We had in the original budget that Eddie and I worked on, we had another $30,000 increase in there, and then of course health insurance happened, so we dialed it back. Everybody has to take a piece of the hurt, so we dialed it back to a $20,000 increase. So you can see that on page 122. If you look at requested versus administrator recommended, you'll see that change. Yeah, you want to look at administrator recommended. And again, that's the reasoning for that, is we just felt it wasn't fair to cut the chief and not reduce what we had hoped we could contribute. So I figured you all knew this, but I just wanted to state it, because if we're looking at, they're asking through 2029, if you all approve the 2.25 of 2027 for 2 more years, that would be a $120,000 increase in
Right.
each one of those years.
And I think we came to understand, certainly last budget year, that just wasn't going to be feasible. I think last year we settled on somewhere in the ballpark of 100 to 150,000 up to 2029, and I think we're on track to hit that over the. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Maybe.
If things continue the way they're going, we'll get
Yeah.
close to that. If
Maybe.
you look at 100 to 150,000 over the 2024 number, that's either 264, which after this year will be 40 off from, or at the high end we'd be 90 off from. Over the course of the next 2 fiscal years, maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
I think that was a more realistic ballpark that we looked at last year.
Yeah.
And, obviously it's unfortunate that we can't do more, but for all the reasons that we stated that we can't, fully, or that we, all the reasons that we just talked about for the police department, I'll put it that way, we obviously can't
Right.
throw $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
I totally understand that, and especially when you're dealing with operating revenue, because that then commits it for the next every fiscal year thereafter,
Yeah.
and you tighten yourself and you run into problems. So
Exactly.
I understand that.
I mean, I always say, we have to take care of home first.
Right.
And the chief, we've talked about, the issues with officers and vacancies, and we had to cut 2 officers, and he took a lot of cuts in his department. So we need to try to take care of those first before we take care of outsiders. And I don't mean that to be rude. I'm just saying, this is our home here, and you always have to take care of home first and do what you can for everyone else. So I, again, just wanted to mention that. And the false alarm, that is something that actually Eddie and Chuck, I think, and Michael and I had already been looking at, through his request. So, that is something that had been on our radar, and we will continue to look at to see if that's feasible. The way that could work, if we were to be able to do it, I would suggest that once we institute it, all of that money, less an administrative fee for us, we would give that would be part of the fire company contribution then. I mean, I don't have any problem with that, but I want to make sure that we're covering our costs. So our personnel costs to manage the program, and then our hard costs, because my office would be billing that. So, those costs as well. Wouldn't be a large chunk, but certainly that's something that we could do, and we'll continue, and we'll look at that to see if that's something that we could do.
Because depending on the number of false alarms,
Right.
if it's a high number, that could be a decent chunk
Yes.
of change.
Yes.
I mean, if we wanted to do $100, if we wanted to do $250, I mean,
Right.
after 4 false alarms, well, and you've got to set the rate, but after 4
Yeah.
overages, that's
Mhm.
$1,000. So
Yeah.
depending on the number, it could be significant.
The other thing is sometimes people get a bill and don't pay it, so.
True.
So there can be additional cost,
Oh,
if somebody doesn't.
For sure. Well, and it would you would only be, just because we bill it, doesn't mean we're gonna collect it. So it's only what we collect gets remitted to the fire company, for sure.
Correct, but
We
if
have a
it's-
pretty,
But if it's a fine,
I'm sorry.
then we put that on their taxes too. If they don't pay it, just like any other violation of a town code, if there's a fine that's unpaid, don't we put it on their tax bill?
If they own the property,
If they own the property,
a lot of your commercial areas rent.
okay? But
They don't own the property.
that's not our problem, that's their problem.
I can't,
Is it
there's no
not?
tax bill for me to, I can't put a lien on the owner's property when they don't own the property.
No, you can't put a lien on the business's property because they don't own the property. You can put a lien on the property, can you not? The owner of the property.
But I can't put a
If business
lien
A,
on.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'm saying if business A is operating on my property,
Mhm.
I'm gonna send the bill to who? Me or business A?
The real property tax bill comes to you as the owner of the property.
To me, and the fine would go to who?
The fine would go to the business who's renting,
To the
who's the
business.
tenant.
We
If-
had
if he's
problems
the
in
one
the
that has
the-
county
Yeah, if he-
collecting
Collecting
these.
that, same thing.
Correct. Some
Sorry.
people would pay it, I mean, some entities would
Yeah.
pay it, but then we'd have a bunch of people who didn't pay it, and then you have to sue them to get the money.
and it has to be
And
worth that.
At this thing.
Right.
It has to be worth that, right?
Yeah, at this
'Cause,
price, it's
you know,
not
Yeah.
worth it.
I mean, we
Correct.
have that right now with the false alarms that we do charge. And the majority of them, I want to say, are collectible. Kudos to Amy in my office. She's got some kind of knack for collections.
She's relentless, I'm sure.
Oh, my gosh, amazing. But so majority of them are paid, but I can't put a lien on their property
Right,
if
right.
they don't own the property. So, but again, there's something that
Even on the
we'll
personal
definitely
property tax?
look at.
Possibly they could, but leaning the personal property is tricky because it's not easily identifiable like a car with a VIN number or a home,
Okay.
like as a, residential address or a commercial address. It's a piece of real property, you know where it is. When they're paying personal property taxes on, I don't know, desks and filing cabinets and stuff, it's really, it
Yeah.
becomes very difficult,
Yeah.
is what I found in my other
Okay.
life.
Mm-hmm. And well, then
It's
you're
hard.
getting Liz involved,
Yeah,
so
but-
now you're
Tack that
paying
cost on.
attorney costs for
Right.
how much of a false alarm that you're trying to collect. So you really have to weigh.
It's not
worth it Everything- after
an hour of work.
No,
Yeah, I know.
it's not.
Right.
I mean,
I know, that's what I mean.
yeah, and again, if it's money that we're not even gonna keep,
Yeah.
I'm spending money that less and less are, if nothing's gonna go to them, and then we're out the money. So we don't wanna go that direction. Yeah. So anything additional on the outstanding list? Okay. That's all we have for this evening.
In that case, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We are adjourned.